to declare war on 1.2 billion Muslims and say all Muslims are the same. This is dangerous talk. Yeah, there are some radicals, but they don't come here to kill us because we're free and prosperous. Do they go to Switzerland and Sweden? I mean, that's absurd. If you think that is the reason, we have no chance of winning this. They come here and they explicitly explain it to it. The CIA has explained it to us. It said they come here and they want to do us harm because we're bombing them.
Congressman Ron Paul coming on strong in the Republican presidential debate last night in Sioux City, Iowa. And, of course, for good reason. Iowa polls show this guy surging. He's behind Newt Gingrich by just a single percentage point in one poll. Republican election watchers in Iowa are very impressed. A former state GOP leader and founder of an Iowa Republican blog, Craig Robinson, says there's a very high probability that Ron Paul will walk away with this. Nobody has more dedicated and passionate staff than Ron Paul. But the people on a certain cable news channel, they don't want Republicans to think that Ron Paul has a chance at all. This is what Fox News viewers heard about Ron Paul all week long.
There is not, rock solid support for everybody, for anybody except perhaps Ron Paul, who does get his 15 to 20%.
If Ron Paul wins here, what then?
Well, the Ron Paul people are not going to like my saying this, but to a certain degree, it will discredit the Iowa caucuses.
I think right now, anybody other than Ron Paul could beat Obama if the election were tomorrow.
And Ron Paul, to me, is just a complete distraction.
I absolutely, positively guarantee you that if Ron Paul is the Republican nominee,
but
Barack Obama,
he's not going to.
Barack Obama is the next president.
Right. He's not going to be the nominee.
For more, let's turn to Jonathan Alter, MSNBC political analyst and columnist for Bloomberg View. Jonathan, it must be something in the water, or maybe it's in the air that all of a sudden they're against Ron Paul. It's an orchestrated attempt. Did they get the memo? What's happening here? What do you make of it?
Well, it looks like he could win the Iowa caucuses. That's terrifying to them. They see him as the crazy uncle in the attic, and they kind of like some of what he says on the economy. They like it when he bashes Obama. They like it when he talks about the deficit. In truth, his economics are in cloud cuckoo land. He wants the gold standard, and, he predicted that if the Fed were to print more money, as it obviously did over the last few years, that we'd have rampant inflation. So he's been totally discredited by any rational person on the economic side. But they like that. What terrifies Fox News and many Republicans is what he says about foreign policy. They see it as isolationist, but he is not so far out of tune with a pretty good number, especially of younger voters, who don't want to get into another war. And when they hear somebody like Newt Gingrich talk about, oh, maybe we'll survive, remember that quote from the last debate, and talking about bombing Iran? Yeah. Mitt Romney's talking about bombing Iran. That scares them, and that helps Ron Paul.
Well, I think you're spot on. I mean, I think his position on international intervention, I think the libertarian position of being socially liberal and fiscally responsible is connecting with a new generation of voters. And I'm told by sources in Iowa he does have the young people on his side down there. And there's a lot of comments being made about Ron Paul's gathering down there in Iowa that paralleled what President Obama had. They're young, they're organized, and they're energized. And if they show up, he is going to win Iowa. Yep. And I should point out that his polling numbers in New Hampshire aren't all that bad right now, are they?
No, I think Iowa's a better state for him because it's an organization state. Those caucuses are about, getting a very committed group to come out. So New Hampshire, you remember Obama lost there. It's a different kind of state. And I don't think we'll be as responsive to, some of what he says on foreign policy in particular. Remember, he is getting pretty close to serious isolationism. I mean, Dick Morris wasn't totally wrong when he said that if Ron Paul had been president in 1941, he might not have gotten into a war with Japan and Germany.
But when he talks about the finances, he gives the country straight talk. Like last night, he said, well, how are you going to build the military if you don't have any money? And he's being backed up by all this conversation election in Washington because all they're doing is fighting over money. He talks about the Federal Reserve, but I find it fascinating that this is in the middle of the country where you have a relatively conservative senator in Grassley and a pretty liberal guy in Tom Harkin. Here's some of Ron Paul last night talking about his governing philosophy. Here it is.
I would be a different kind of president. I wouldn't be looking for more power. Everybody wants to be a powerful executive and run things. I, as a president, wouldn't want to run the world. I don't want to police individual activities and their lifestyle, and I don't want to run the economy. So that's like an entirely different philosophy, but it's very, very much in our tradition and in the tradition of our Constitution.
I mean, this is the Tea Party candidate, is it not?
Well, in some ways it is. If you're looking at it in terms of shrinking government, absolutely, he has been extraordinarily consistent. You've got these other candidates who are all over the map, and Ron Paul, you might not like him, but he is got the courage of his convictions, and he seems like a more honest candidate than most of the others. The other sort of purely tactical thing going on here, Ed, is that Michelle Bachmann had a good debate, and she might be coming up. Santorum is not going to win or place, but he's got some committed people in Iowa. We spent a lot of time. Every one of the votes that they get comes out of the hide of Newt Gingrich, who is sinking now. So, Romney's behind. Yeah, Romney could rally some, but the dynamics with a couple weeks to go right now, they favor Ron Paul.
Yeah, I just wish at one of these Republicans debates that they would, before they all start, they'd be forced to raise their right hand and say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I mean, I think that'd be great, don't you? Jonathan, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much. And I think we should point out, too, that the number one attack dog on Newt Gingrich has been Ron Paul.
Yes, and his ads have been devastating.
And now you see Gingrich kind of stammering and stuttering a little bit when it comes to the polls right now and sinking. So we'll see if it continues. I can't wait to get to Iowa. Thanks, Jonathan.